Hey, welcome back. We're here at video 2 of our gun belt, and this is, of course, going to be about cutting the leather out. So we've got everything drawn here on the piece. As I've said before, I draw it on the back side. The reason why I do that is because any kind of stray marks, those kinds of things, I want it to be on a side that I'm not afraid of it showing up later in the piece. Yes, there's going to be a lot of dyeing and those kind of things that will cover up a lot of mistakes, but just call me a little cautious. I want to make sure, right, that I don't mess up the front, especially on a piece this nice. It's just not something I want to chance. So here we have all the pieces I want out of this leather drawn up. What I'm going to do is, for this larger piece, I'm probably going to end up just, cutting out a larger section and separating it out entirely and then focusing on these smaller pieces. The reason being is because of how long this is and how much space it's taking up. I just don't want to have to deal with all of this extra here, because it's just a lot of bulk to have to kind of shift around, where we can save ourselves a little bit of pain there. So first I'm just going to kind of start cutting up and talk a little bit about my philosophy there for those that are new to the channel. So with cutting, you've got your box knife and you've got your rotary blade. Those are the two that I use the most of. Obviously, the sharper your blade is, the easier it is going to be to cut through the leather. There's something I've wanted to get, I've wanted to play with for a long time, and it's called basically a round knife, or a head knife, I believe it's called. It's like this big crescent moon shaped knife with a small handle, and it looks awesome, but there's a lot of maintenance involved with those, and I just haven't gotten up the guts to try it out. So, I'll stick with my box knife and my rotary cutter. Okay, so we've got our cutting mat here, so our surface is nice and safe. Don't think we're going to slip off, so we should be fine. What I'm trying to do here, and hopefully I can kind of get it in frame. Let's get a bit of it in frame here. I want to start essentially with my straight edges, if I can. Yeah, we'll go with this one. And what I'm attempting to do is just hit all of those straight edges, basically all these vertical edges first. So I'm going to put in my rotary blade, sink it into the leather, and just push. I'll probably try another cut here. There, that felt like it went through. We're just going to test it. Make sure. Yeah. Okay. I just had to put my arm in it and jostled around to make sure it went through. Since this is 8-ounce leather, it's going to be a little bit more tricky than, say, the baby armor, which was only 4 ounces. So, man, that rotary blade just ate right through it. Okay. For this cut, I'm actually going to use my box knife, I think, because I want to start from here and work my way back. And I know this is it's a little off screen. This is kind of a rounded edge here because it's the top of our the flap that's going to be for the holster. Jeez, it is 12 o'clock definitely. But I can find out whereabouts it starts to curve off that straight line. And go straight. I'm trying to be careful not to have my ruler shift at all if I can help it. See, that didn't even go all the way straight through. That's fine. We did mar it, so it's at least got started for us. And I slowly am just working my way through. Since that groove was already cut for us, the knife is going to want to naturally follow. Think of it like in ice skating, if anybody's familiar with that. Generally, if you catch another skater's groove, I forget what the exact term is, but you can, get caught in there and what somebody else has already set up. Somebody knows out there. One of you right now is screaming at your computer screen. Okay. Boom. And there we go. You see my fingers waggling through there. Whee! So that's essentially what I'm going to do across the board. Hit all these straight lines all the way through. Then probably do my horizontal lines. I'll cut out this whole belt piece, as one single bit, and then refine the edge, and that'll get everything cut out. Now, for these pieces here, for the tongue and the buckle, I do have kind of a more decorative cut I'm going to end up doing on the ends, so I'll have to get my template that I've made for those and just kind of make sure those are printed out. And there's just a little something fun, a little bit extra, so they're not just these square edges. And I'll show you guys what that's going to look like. So we'll get the rest of this cut out. When we come back, I'll show you what that all looks like. All right, we'll see you then. Okay. One thing I forgot to point out, just wanted to jump back in real quick. Something I didn't talk about here, but I did talk about in my last video series. One thing I always try to do is cut on the outside of the pattern. So as you can see here, I've got this straight line that's going to be right here. And, I could go ahead and put my ruler down and start cutting, but there's a danger there if you do that. What you could end up doing is, cutting and end up getting off. And if you notice, would actually end up be cutting into the pattern. So whenever I can, if it's absolutely possible, I want to cut on the outside of that pattern. So if I get off track, I'm going to be cutting into leather that I'm not using. It's just a little trick that I do to make sure that I don't end up wasting any leather. So I just thought it was a little tip I wanted to pass on to you guys. It'll hopefully save you some leather in the future. Yeah? All right. I'll show you when we come back. All the stuff will be cut out. We'll see you then. All right, we are finishing this up. One last thing I wanted to talk about when it comes to cutting, just a trick of mine, is when I'm cutting, especially kind of rounded portions, say something, like this, where I can't use a straight edge, I essentially will be looking at where my blade is going, not where my blade is. So that's very important distinction. So when I'm cutting right now, I'm not looking right here where the blade is. I'm looking at where I'm going to be cutting. And I think that's going to be that key difference for you when you're doing your own leatherworking project. Oh, my light just gave out. So, things are going to be a little bit darker here for the moment. Alright, so I'm actually going to switch to, I think, an X-Acto knife for this portion. Just something a little bit smaller. It's not going to get through this thick leather. So we're just trying to be careful of our fingers, obviously. Okay. There we go. And that piece is out. Okay, so sorry for how dark things are right now. I left my light on when I was doing all the other cuts and it ran out of battery. It happens. So there we have it. All of our pieces are cut out. We don't need that guy anymore. There we have our gun belt. And this particular portion, it's going to end up folding over. And like that. Okay? So that's going to be a really nice gun belt there. And then these are our straps for the buckle. And then, of course, our belt. Cool deal. All right. So this looks great. Can't wait to put it all together. It's going to be a lot of fun. All right. Thank you very much. And we'll see you in our next video.